Hello again, a very warm welcome to you all. My name is Deni Kay, here today with a bottle of Springbank 12-year-old Cask Strength batch number 9. Now this was 100% sherry, so 60% fresh and 40% refill sherry casks released back in 2014. 2014 doesn't sound like a very long time ago, but it certainly is in whiskey years, especially with Springbank, right? We know there's plenty that's been going on, so it's not as easy to find as it was back in 2014, and prices have obviously moved as well. We're not going to talk about that. I'm going to keep this short and sharp, talk about this particular one here. I've spoken about Springbank as a distillery on previous videos, and I've even spoken about what is happening with Springbank prices on a previous video, which you can find obviously on my channel if you'd like to revisit that. Or if you are a first-time viewer, you can go back and visit that. You can subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, all those lovely things. We're going to keep it about this one. Smell, taste, overall experience. Give it a score out of 10. My overall thoughts. I'll even add a little bit of water to it and see if that gives us anything else to pick up now. We did say 100% sherry in terms of the makeup of casks used. Now, yes, typical sherry notes coming through. So we are getting dried fruits that are coming through immediately. They are both raisins, sultanas, both dried apricot, dried fig, yes, some fresh apricot, chocolate, absolutely. There's a little bit of salt. It's almost like a salted caramel. It is creamy, right? It's not a vanilla cream. For me, almost it's a vanilla yogurt that comes through. Now, the thing that's a little bit challenging here is there are herbal notes that are coming through. It's difficult for me at this point to pinpoint exactly what herbs. So we'll try to get to that a little bit later on. There is a touch of spice, the peat, the smoke. It's really clean. It's not ashy. Really clean type of peat that comes through. Really, really enjoyable nose. 54.3%, but we're not feeling a lot of that on the nose. So, fantastic start. The 54.3%, we're feeling that now. There's also some bitter oak, quite a bit of that bitterness that comes through with a little bit of chili. Then saltiness, yes, absolutely. Smoke, yes, it's a vegetal peat. As I said before, it's not an ashy peat or a dirty smoke or anything along those lines. It is funky, musty, yes, absolutely. You give it that. Those sweet notes that come through from before that I mentioned, the dried fruits, yes, apricots, yes. There's some stewed pears, some stewed apples. The herbs, still difficult to pinpoint, but they are certainly there. We come through to the finish now. It is rather full, right? The mouthfeel is fantastic. It's full. There's plenty that's going on. Some clove, a little bit of spice on the finish. It is still lingering. There is plenty going on here. You may notice that, I'm gonna add a little bit of water to this, but you may notice I said, a touch of this, a bit of that, a hint of X. Well, look, with something like this, there are layers, right? That's what makes a complex whiskey. So, if we were to say there is, at the same velocity, that same kind of intensity, these notes that are coming at you in that one layer, well then, we would call that a one-dimensional whiskey, right? We would not call that a complex whiskey. Something like this, it's not challenging. Well, I will say, there are those whiskeys where, you'll find maybe an off note. You'll say, oh, whatever, I don't know, there's a spent match, there's that dank mustiness to it. If you were to drink that when you were very, very early on in your whiskey journey, I know for me, I probably would have seen that as something that would have been to the detriment of a whiskey, right? Even with this here, there's a little bit of sulfur that comes through. I like that, but I know that me starting my whiskey journey way back when would not have enjoyed that. Whereas now, there are those notes that sometimes become the highlight or the talking point, where you'll pick up that one note, you'll turn to the person to you at the bar and go, did you pick up X? Yes, I did. That becomes a talking point. That may become the highlight. That's what becomes memorable about a whiskey. You will get that with something like Springbank. There are probably not many distilleries that will put out official bottlings where you will pick up a lot of that. Thankfully, we have single casks, special releases, or even independent bottlers that will give us that, because obviously no two casks are alike. So you may be lucky enough to pick up a dram out of a bottle or a bottle out of a cask where you will have some of those notes that will give you that memorable experience. And isn't that what it's all about for us, right? So I did say at the beginning of the video I'd keep this short and sharp. Sometimes that does not happen, but we've given this a little bit of extra time in the glass, I guess, as a consequence of that, and a little bit of water. So I will say this, the smoke, I said clean, it's a vegetal type of smoke. It is really, those apricots are coming through. Apricot compote, yes, absolutely juicy, fleshy apricots right now. Absolutely fantastic. White marshmallow on the nose coming through now as well. Salted pretzel. Now, it's not a salted pretzel like what you'd get out of a pack, like a chip packet. I'm talking a salted pretzel that you'd get from a quality bakery. Yes, absolutely. That's good. That's good whiskey. Touch of water sometimes really does do whiskey wonders. And I did not add, that's so good. I did not add a lot to this, because we can always add more, right? There's no point of putting too much. There are some cask strength whiskies where you'll add a teaspoon of 2, or whatever your scientific measurement is that you will use to add to whiskey, and they can swim and they work, right? Sometimes you may add a little bit too much water. You can obviously just add more whiskey to it, but we had a little bit of whiskey, build our way up. That's absolutely fantastic. That bitterness that I mentioned earlier, there's a little bit of that bitter oak, or actually quite a bit of that bitter oak. That started to take a little bit of a backseat. Those fruits have started to come through now. Yes, absolutely. It's almost become a little bit tropical, I guess you could say. Some banana chips. Yes, a little bit of pineapple. The apricot, I mentioned, that keeps coming through. There's some cocoa powder. That smoke just continues to go through. That is an underlying smoke. Chocolate, absolutely. Toasted marshmallows. Yes, we got that marshmallow on the nose coming through as well. On the finish, there's still a little bit of that spice. The herbs, for me, they're there. At this point in time, it's difficult for me to pinpoint exactly what they are, but I will revisit. Tonight I'm visiting a friend of mine. I'll take this bottle with me and we'll absolutely enjoy it. And I'll try to pinpoint exactly what I'm picking up in terms of herbs. It's an 8.5. You'd almost go a 9, but it's an 8.5. It's very good. Look, there's probably no such thing as a bad 12-year-old cask strength. In terms of Springbank, right? One of the most recent ones, which was a bourbon cask, is one that I didn't enjoy as much. The few before that was very good, right? They were very good. When I say I didn't enjoy it that much, it wasn't bad. It was still very good, right? But it's just a high bar that has been set. I would say one of my least favorite Springbanks over the last few years has been the 17-year-old Madeira. That is one that I didn't really enjoy very much at all. I had a few drams of it. It wasn't quite to my liking. I know there are a lot of people that absolutely love it. In fact, I'll probably hear from a lot of those people that absolutely love it, which is fine, right? That is exactly what whiskey's about. But to Springbank make a bad whiskey, yeah, very hard to be able to find one of them out of this distillery. Very good. I did say that I will keep this video short and sharp. So what I will say is, if you don't already subscribe, hit the subscribe button. That way you can join me again next week, and I will keep my commitment of keeping the video short and sharp for you. If you haven't already hit the like button, do hit the like button. The algorithm really does like that, so I would appreciate it. Feel free to keep me a comment if you're that way inclined. Otherwise, thank you very much once again for joining me. Cheers to you. Till next time.